Hello. We're live on YouTube and Instagram, and oh, now Facebook is live as well. Hope you can see and hear me on all the platforms. Hello. Hello, Alessia and Lara. Hello on YouTube as well. I see there's people there. And hello, Facebook. Hello, Zoe. Hello, everybody. I can't say it to everyone. Everyone's joining at the same time. But thanks for joining us today. We have a special guest today. We've invited one of our students that's studying at Hanyang to talk about school and life in Korea. Oh, I'm glad. And we are also streaming on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So hello, Sandy on Facebook. So apologize that I can't look at everyone at the same time. But if you don't catch the live on Instagram, then as usual, we have the replay on Facebook and YouTube because the live on Instagram disappears after 24 hours. As many of you know that join us, we've been streaming every week in April, and we have another video next week coming, and then we'll have some in May as well. So be sure to tune in for those. And for those of you that are applying for summer, be sure to submit your documents very soon. The deadline is, I believe, this week for the remaining schools that have the application open for summer. Otherwise, we can, of course, help you for the future terms. Hello, everybody that just joined on Instagram. You're very welcome. We'll let you know when the K-pop giveaway box is coming to you. Alrighty. We will invite our guests into the stream now. So, Katie, do you want to slide in here?
Hey guys.
Alrighty. Yeah, the camera angle's not good for Instagram, but I believe on YouTube and Facebook you can see us much better. We'll kind of tilt it towards her a little bit more. So I'm also here. If I'm not in the frame on Instagram,
These are here, guys.
Yeah, I'm also here. So first of all, thank you for joining us today. We're going to ask her some questions about like school, as I mentioned, and life in Korea. And of course, you can post different questions about either one as we're going through the stream. And we also have Facebook and Instagram, or sorry, Facebook and YouTube going, so you can also stream there. And first, can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Katie Villegas. I'm actually attending Hanyang University, and I'm from Washington, D.C., the United States. So, yeah.
Yep. And how long have you been in Korea now?
I got here February 29th, so a little bit over a month and like a half, over a month and a half.
Yep.
Not good at math, but for sure.
Great. So I guess why did you decide to start learning Korean?
So actually, when I was a child, I lived in Maryland, and I grew up in a very like populated area with a lot of it was like a melting pot there. But I actually grew up with a lot of Koreans, and then a lot of Latinos. But I think as I got older, I started watching K-drama, and to me, it sounded so pretty. Like, you know, certain languages just sound really pretty to the ear. I know a lot of people love language like French and so forth, and that sounds beautiful. But for me, Korean sounds really beautiful. So I figured, let me get into something. And honestly, it was a challenge. It's like, I'm willing to try challenges, and I figured learning a new language would definitely benefit me. So I specifically chose Korean.
Cool.
Yep.
And on that note of challenges, as now you've been in class for a little bit and started learning the language more, what do you believe is like the hardest part or the most challenging part of learning Korean? Because a lot of people are curious about like what's the most difficult part or what's most challenging.
I think the most difficult part for me is the sentence structure, like the grammar. I know that sounds weird, but like, you know, in English you say, I want to get or like I want to go get coffee with my friends, but in Korean it's like went coffee, right? It's a little different.
So like for those that don't know, Korean is like reverse grammar of English or other languages. Like, so if you wanted to say like I give the apple or something like that, you'd say I apple give. You'd do subject object verb instead of subject verb object. So for people that speak maybe English or other subject verb object languages, then it's completely reverse of what you're expecting. So
that's where like it messes me up. And then the like little endings and even horrible, but the vowels, like the O and the U, like little things like that, the little differences, those get me as well. So but like once you pick it up though, like it sounds and you actually know how to pronounce it, it kind of just rolls out the tongue. I know it sounds weird, but like so that to me, but I would say that the grammar or the sentence structure is very difficult for me because I have to like think about it really slowly.
Question: can you easily switch between Korean and English? For me, I've lived in Korea for like almost 6 years. I also went to language school, so maybe it's a bit easier for me than Katie right now. But how do you, if you're like say at a restaurant or a cafe or something, can you kind of stumble through ordering?
I will try. It'll be very embarrassing, but I definitely try. And I like to listen more than anything else. I just like to listen to it and see if I can, even if it means just picking up little words here and there, and then I'll just make up the sentence in my head and say, okay, this sounds like this is what they're saying. But I can't yet. I'm still very new. I can read. I'm surprised. It takes me time, but I can read now. So, and it's only been, it's only been like 2-3 weeks that we've been in school. So,
almost a month, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And I know I'm kidding. It might be a month because I'm taking my midterm this Friday, but I can read. So very slow, but I read now. So yeah, I read like a 5-year-old. So that's helpful. So you really do end up picking things up and learning. Like I was surprised with myself that I could pick it up and read it. So
yeah, and for those that are maybe learning Korean, reading like picking up the alphabet is quite quick. So So, okay, you can answer this one. Do you have any advice for learning Korean?
Repetition.
Like
that's really repetition, and also know what your study habits are. Like for me, I'm a very physical person, so I have to sit and make flashcards, like write them out. And as I'm writing them out, I have to like keep pronouncing it to myself. And then once I have my flashcards, I wish I had brought them. I'll like just flip them over. And the nice thing is here in Korea, I haven't found any in the States, but like they have these cute little pocket vocabularies. So you could really just put them in your purse if you're a female, and maybe in your pockets if you're a man. And like literally on the subway, just turn the words, just turn them, and that helps a lot as well. So and as for like speaking Korean, I can introduce myself.
Maybe we can get to that later. Yeah. So yeah, you've been living in Korea for almost 2 months, like a month and a half-ish now. So can you talk maybe generally about your life in Korea, how life in Seoul is, maybe how it compares to where you lived in the US?
I love it, mainly because where I live, I have to be like consistently driving everywhere versus here, it's made me more active because I have to walk everywhere. And then it's so accessible, like the trains the stations are not that far from one another. So you literally just walk maybe 10, 15 minutes. It's not that bad. And you start to get used to it. But I think I love the walking aspect of Seoul. Also, like, not that far to go hiking in places like that, right?
That's true.
And which is nice. So, like, you have the city, but you also have, like, a little, I don't know how to explain it, like the mountains and a lot of parks. So, like, on the weekends, even on the weekdays, just grabbing your bike and run and, like, just biking, just walking. I think I like the walking part a lot. So, what else did I like? Oh, and then just all the sightseeing that you can do. Like, you can go to, like, where I live, I'm only, like, 20, 25 minutes from Itaewon, which Namsan, which is Seoul Tower, is, like, right there. So, like, I literally run it I've run it, like, at least 3 to 4 times, which, if you ever get to go, it's massive. Like, I mean, it's a big hill and steps. And then you could also take a trolley.
Yep, you can take like a gondola.
A gondola. Sorry, I say trolley.
They say like cable car.
Yeah, cable car. That's what it is. So yeah, so that's what I like about Seoul. And then the food. The food is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Korea is like 70% mountains. So it's a really teeny tiny country with a lot of mountains. So hiking and other like skiing and snowboarding and camping and all those outdoorsy activities are quite popular, especially with the older generation. You'll see a lot of them in full like hiking gear, going like every weekend, even if it's just a mountain in Seoul. Or some people will blow like $1,000 on professional hiking gear, and then most of the people you see are going to be like older people. For maybe only like with a 1 or 2 weekends they go hiking, they'll have like all the gear, like backpack and walking sticks and everything. And of course they pack like makgeolli and snacks in their bag to drink at the top of the mountain. Is Korean food spicy? A lot of Korean food is spicy, but there's food that isn't. Do you have foods that you like?
Yeah, there are. Okay, so I really don't handle spices that well. And you know, I've heard that like if someone says that it is spicy, like if they find it spicy, then you know it's very spicy. But honestly, like you can find stuff that aren't that spicy. And like just a little tang, honestly, just gives it flavor in my opinion. But there's like bulgogi is not spicy.
Right.
Kimbap is not spicy unless they add like chile or something spicy. Add spicy into it. And even the fried chicken, like that, you can make that non-spicy. So there are things out here that you can eat that aren't spicy. So yeah, like, but I like the little spice, and it gets my nose running.
Thanks, Sandy, for the question. We'll get to accommodations in a little bit. For now, let's see. So we talk. People are curious about. A lot of people ask how much time you spend like outside of the actual class time studying. Since we talked about your just general everyday life here, we can move on to school, I guess. A lot of people ask like, do I have free time? Will I have free time? Do I have to, spend hours a day studying outside of class? So.
Yeah, no, you definitely have free time. Like, my class is from like 2 to 6, so I have all my morning and then all my evening. So it's technically like I'm in the time frame of when people in Korea are working anyways. So it's like I'm not missing much during my time frame. And then after the 4 hours of my class, I maybe like study. I'm not the best student in the world, but I'll study maybe like an hour before I go to bed, or like an hour when I wake up, and then they give you homework. So the homework itself gives you some time to like practice, because like I said, it's really just repetition and practicing. But like out of school, maybe like an hour to 2 hours, depending on my mood. But and even then, like I said, just sitting on the train, depending on where you're going, you could just be flipping your vocab. So those are little things, like give it 5-10 minutes, or if you're on a train for 20 minutes, you just take 20 minutes of sitting there, because actually the train is really silent. Like not many people are talking there, so people are just listening to music or on their phone. So instead of doing that, you could just replace it and go through your vocabulary. So it's like you don't really feel the time going by. And then if you manage to make Korean friends, like they're more than willing to help you, and they can help you with the pronunciation, or like I'll have a couple friends that when they come over, they'll literally sit there as we're eating and they'll point at things and say, "Oh, how do you say this? How do you say that?" So that kind of helps me too, because I'm a physical learner versus some people can listen and stuff like that. So yeah, and it's fun. Like I think you would enjoy it. I'm assuming that if you're coming, it's because you're going to enjoy learning the language. So it's not something like boring. If you're interested in it, you're going to have fun.
Cool.
Oh,
Thanks for letting us know.
yeah.
And just to let you know, like if you're say in one of the higher level classes, of course, your study period like outside of class may need to increase or adjust depending on, of course, what level you're in, or maybe your learning style. As Katie said, maybe you like to make flashcards and just drill those every day. Some people, of course, need other types of learning to help them retain the language. So maybe in the beginning levels, you can start with, an hour or two a day, but it may scale accordingly. So maybe if you're in level 4 or 5, you're going to be spending more time. At least for me, that's what happened when I was in level 1. Let's see. Oh yeah, for those that just joined, we're with our student at Hanyang, and we're doing a live question and answer session about studying Korea, living in Korea. And I'm Nathan, who you've seen probably many, many times. And this is Katie, our student. So we'll keep on going through the questions we have here. Can you talk about maybe your classmates? I know right now it's a little bit unique because you're doing class online, but
and I will say that, like, given the circumstances with, as you all know, COVID, it's still fun. Like, class is still fun. And personally, I'm okay. Like, we're online right now, but I'm actually okay with it because I'm in like my comfort zone, and we get to go on Zoom and like we're in the class and we're practicing with our teacher, but we get these little mini breaks. And instead of like what I'm assuming would be in class, you just sit there for another 10 minutes, wait for the time to pass. I get to turn my computer off for a second and lay in bed and just relax. I've literally taken power naps during my breaks. So I'm actually not complaining about being online because I still get that like that live interaction. So if I have questions for the professor, she will still help me out, and and so forth. And even the students will help one another out. We the first day that we had class online, the professor told me that we had 20 students, and then with the 20 students we went down to 12, and then with the 12 they actually broke up the classes to like 7 of us in each class, because I think the bigger the class was, the harder it would be for them to actually be able to listen to the way we talk, because you have to keep in mind that we're not really in person, so that makes the audio can become a little difficult to listen to the ever slight changes that are in the way the Korean language is. So besides that, I'm actually not complaining about it being online. It's actually neat though, because we only get 2 exams, and also in this case, we're actually skipping the writing because they can't test us on writing, because unless like we write it and then we pick it up, it's not gonna work that way. So our testing is just gonna be on like speaking, which is in reality what you want to be able to do anyways, because the reading, it really is, it's phonetic. So you just read it, and if you remember the sound, you can manage to get it through. So it's really nice in that aspect. What else?
Yeah. Normally you only do get like 2 exams per term. So if you're wondering about like the exam schedule or how you're assessed, normally you still just get a midterm and a final.
Yes.
And then you may have like homework or attendance that factors into your grade, like a very small percent, like 10 or less percent or something like that. I don't know if they're calculating that into your grade this term, but
I think that I think that they still are because they're actually recording, they'll record our lessons.
Oh, I see.
And also there's a way for us, like as soon as we click in, originally we had to like sign in our name, but then she said, no, we have a new way of being able to acknowledge that you're in the class. So like, and I'm telling you, you don't want to miss anyways, because it's like 4 hours of a class. And that already happened to me because I just had a really bad stomach flu. And I was originally just going to sit there, have my video off, but listen to the audio. But it got to the point that I actually had to sleep throughout the entire class. But 4 hours is a lot. It set me back for a second there. But thank God, like, they're willing to help you and they're patient with you. They're definitely patient because I'm like one of the worst when it comes to pronunciation in my class. So like she'll sit there with me and go really slow because it takes me a while. But so they're very patient in that sense too.
Yeah, it's a lot of material they cover like each day. So as Katie said, you cover like 4 hours worth of material each day. And for the typical class, that might be like a chapter or more of material each day. For the online, it may be a little adjusted due to the circumstances. But like, for instance, when I was in language school, we would cover like, I think a chapter every 2 days, or maybe if it was shorter, a chapter a day or something. So, I mean, if you're missing like the vocabulary and the grammar lessons and all that from even one day, that's a lot. And even like a typical college class, maybe a 3 credit hour class, you may meet like, 3 times a week for an hour, hour and a half, or something like that. So you're missing more than even like maybe an undergraduate class. So that's why we always tell our students to go to class, that participating is very crucial to learning. And for those that are on a visa, for the student visa, your attendance factors into if you can keep the visa. So that's also like doubly important why you should go to class. So let's see. And
like the nice thing is, like, you don't really feel the 4 hours. Like, I don't feel them, even though, of course, like as a student, you want to fall asleep at some point, but you really don't feel those 4 hours. They break it up really nicely. And then, and you're consistently being active in it. Like, you're talking, you're consistently reading, you're trying to understand what's happening. So time will just fly like that as well. So.
And one question was when the application dates are. So you can start at the university language programs like Katie's in during March, June, September, or December. And then the application time is pretty much the same each year. So let's say you wanted to join during the summer, the application period is about 3 months before. So depending on the school, the application will be due like March, April. And then let's say you wanted to come this fall, then the application would be due like June, July, and then so on and so forth. So if you have any questions about when you'd like to, or when you need to apply, or when you'd like to start, and then the corresponding application period, just contact us and we can let you know. We advise that you contact us at least like 6 months before you'd like to start, because that will give you enough time to get all the documents and make sure everything's correct to make sure that you can start when you'd like. Oh, yeah. Katie can give some more details about the application process that she went through. And hello, gogohanguk, France. We're doing great. Thanks for stopping by. We'll switch it to Katie to talk more about the application process.
Because the process was not that difficult either. Like for me, I consistently was talking with Nathan. We were like going back and forth through email. I had started back in July of last year.
Yeah, it was like last summer.
It was last summer. And I specifically chose to come in the spring because of the weather. Like I had done my research on the weather. And so
and the weather's like getting nicer.
Yeah, it's getting nicer. Like I missed the cold and now it's getting nicer and it's really hot here. So I was like, the spring sounds perfect to me. Plus the cherry blossoms and so forth. So I was just like, this is ideal. So I started back in July, but it was just like, he was quick at responding given the time difference. He was really quick and he would just say like, we need this, you need this. And one thing that he caught that I didn't catch was my passport, for example, was literally going to expire within like a few months. And he was like, oh, you need to change that. And I freaked out because I was like, oh my goodness, because in the States, it can take a while to get your passport. So I went and got it fixed. But I mean, he was really clear on what I needed. And the paperwork was not, at least for me, it wasn't too intense. So the process itself is, and if you're motivated, you're gonna do it. It's not gonna be a struggle for you. You're gonna be like this about it. So
yeah, there's
there's
not many documents that are like too terribly difficult to prepare. And if there's something that you have a question on, then of course we can help you with that. As Katie said, if I see your passport's going to expire in like a couple months, then I'll tell you, because if you want to come to Korea, it needs to be valid for at least the time you're going to be here. Normally like 6 months past your entry date. So, or if you have questions on your educational documents, if you have questions about the actual application form, then it's not a problem. I can, of course, answer all of those to make sure the school will approve your documents. Because some schools are more picky than others, and some want a really specific like format, or they want everything officially translated, or this, that, or the other thing. So just let us know. You can always contact us and ask us any questions at any time. Hello. I can't. Cat, maybe cat or cat. Yeah. Hello. So yeah, I think we'll get to this question over here, which talked about your accommodation. That's also a big question people have. So I know that you didn't go specifically through us to find your accommodation, but maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I went through, I actually went through Airbnb. At first, I was just doing my research because I didn't know. For me, I was thinking like, okay, what's going to be the right area so I can catch the train, and what would be good locations. So I sat throughout my entire, like, what was it, like 3-4 months before coming here. I went through every day, and I just went through Airbnb, just looking, asking questions, and also seeing the prices, because you're in Seoul. So like for me, I compare Seoul to like New York for the US or DC. Like it's expensive, and in a sense, not like crazy expensive, but when you're looking at the prices, that's what you're thinking. That's what I was comparing Seoul to. And so I kept looking like, okay, what do I want in my place? And so I just kept looking, and I just kept talking to a lot of people in the Airbnbs and seeing what would work best for me and for them as well. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but like long story short, sometimes I cut out the middleman. Ended up cutting out a middleman because it was way too expensive in that aspect. But now that I'm here, like the other thing that I could also advise is like if you choose not to go with gogohanguk. I'm so horrible at saying things sometimes. I just went through Airbnb, and then I don't know, maybe look for something later on, if only for 1 month, and then look for something different. Like I'm sure once you make friends, you can talk to people and see where they're staying at. So, because I know some friends did that. They found places for 1 month here. Like one of my friends at Hanyang did that, and then she moved actually to my building. So yeah, so it works out. I mean, like it's manageable. It's definitely, if you do your research. But of course, it's so much easier when you're having help, because they live here. They know like where to go and how to get the better prices. Versus like I went, and also keep in mind, like if I wasn't a student, so I had the privilege to be able to pay for more, like pay rent, like a higher rent versus like students. So, and I think they take that into account like immensely, like, oh, these are students coming in and so forth. So
yeah, you're welcome to use you're welcome to use us to find accommodation. Of course, if there's a dormitory on campus, and we can help you with that. If you want to live in like a share house or homestay or a mini studio, then you can see the details on our website. Or if you want to find your own accommodation like Katie did, that's perfectly fine as well. As she mentioned, you may need to do a lot of research depending on your living style or where you want to be in the city. If you want to be in more like busy, happening part of town, or not, you want a place more quiet. So, and we can discuss that with you if you're not sure where you'd like to live, and we can say, well, this is closer to the school, or this is closer to maybe shopping or sightseeing and stuff. So of course, a lot of people have their own preferences, so we can help you kind of talk through that. And there are a couple questions. Let's see. Do you have specific colleges that you can apply for, or can you apply for any? We help with our schools, which you can see on our website. There are like many different schools in Korea, and then we partner with our specific partners in Seoul, Busan, and Daegu. And if you'd like help with any of those, then we can definitely help you out with applying to their Korean language program. And specifically for Hanyang, if you caught our live video last week, we have a visiting program for undergrads as well now. So just let us know if you're interested in that. Another question, do we need a specific level of Korean to study? No, you can study with knowing no Korean. Most of the people that come study know maybe the alphabet at least, or at least familiar with like maybe basic grammar or greetings and things like that. But you can honestly start with no Korean at all. And the teachers, and even in the beginning level, will guide you through the alphabet. They will teach you in Korean from the get-go though. So just be prepared for that. It's designed to be an immersive experience. It's designed to be an intensive program. So if you'd like to get maybe your feet wet and at least know the alphabet or some basic greetings and grammar, then that's great. Otherwise, you can jump right into the deep end and get going from the alphabet in Korean language school. It's completely up to you.
Yeah, like I came in knowing nothing, like nothing at all. So I learned the alphabet with my class, and like all my classmates knew a lot more than I did. So I think that kind of set me back a little. So if I could go back and tell myself something, I would probably say, yeah, get on YouTube and at least learn the alphabet. And like, because I could say like hi and thank you, but I didn't understand why I could say it. Like I didn't understand the phonetics of it. So I would definitely just advise you, like, if you want to make it a little bit easier, just learning the alphabet's not the right word. The symbols.
Oh, yeah, Hanguk is the Korean alphabet. So yeah, if you want to learn Hanguk before you come to Korea, then that's perfectly fine. Yeah, if you only know the basics, then that's perfectly fine. If you can pronounce like Hanguk, then that's great. Of course, not required, as we mentioned. So, but if you want to feel a little bit comfortable when you step off the plane and be able to maybe pronounce words, then learning the alphabet to start is a great stepping stone. And then once you get to class, then you can kind of hit the ground running. So yeah, a lot of people can maybe type in Korean a little bit on their phone, or maybe you're on language apps and you're learning in that way. I wouldn't worry about messing up too much. I think people understand if you're not a native speaker, you're going to make mistakes. I still make them, even though I've been studying at Korean language school and live in Korea. So, and to be honest, I have a thick American accent when I speak Korean. So it's perfectly fine if you're not perfect, and no one expects you to be a perfect speaker of your second, third, fourth language. I think that's perfectly fine. We have more Spanish speakers saying hi. Yeah, I can still read Spanish, but my speaking sucks. So if you have a question in Spanish, then feel free to leave it. Also, we can help you natively in Spanish. Our coordinator for Spanish speakers, Christina, is more than capable, and she is perfectly willing to help you in Spanish. So don't be afraid to email us, contact us in Spanish. We'll have someone get back to you. Same for Italian. If you're a native Italian speaker, Sabrina will help you. And let's see. Do you have any? Let's see. Oh, we kind of already talked about that. Let's see. Oh, have your teachers been able to give you any advice or help you about life in Korea? If you've had any issues or anything like that, do you think that?
I'm sure they're very my two professors are very sweet, very friendly, and they're always asking what we're going to do for the weekend and so forth, and telling us what are good dishes to eat. And they're always asking, do you have questions? Do you have questions? So we're always just very quiet about it. And we're like, no, we don't have questions. Because I think that we have she's her professor and so forth. But they're very very friendly and very willing to help you. I know there was earlier this week, I got everybody cut off except me, and she was like, "Do you have questions?" Like, and we just talked a little, and she was just like, "Yeah, just keep practicing your vocabulary and so forth." Because, like I said, I've been struggling a little bit in my class because I'm a bubblehead sometimes, but yeah, so they're very friendly and they do tell us like what's good to eat here and so forth. Yeah, and always giving us hope that maybe we'll actually meet, talk together. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a little unique situation due to the health ordeal or the global health ordeal we're going through. As we mentioned before, Katie's in an online class for now, but as the government gives certain directives, as the school evaluates the situation, there's a possibility that she'll return to what would be quote unquote normal class in person, which is of course going to be a different situation than the online method of giving class. So
yeah, and improved, like, for example, like I have a friend that did get to attend Hanyang last semester, and we live in the same building, and she was just telling me, like, one, like the campus itself is beautiful. Like it's like one of the cafes, like you literally are like kind of on top of a mountain. It's not like really on top of a mountain, but like you could see the entire city. It's really like it's just beautiful on its own. It looks really like I like the old style, so the buildings itself is really pretty. But also like they also offer you like the Korean buddy.
oh
Yeah, like
nice.
Korean buddy. So they like if you get that on time, you will actually get a student from Korea that will not only show you around the school, but also show you like what life is in Korea. So that's nice. And then you also get like right now because of COVID, we don't get to do this, but we get like it's like first come first serve. But we could also get like a personal tutor for an hour. I think once a week or something. Yeah. So they offer that, which I've been waiting, but since school hasn't really started, they're holding back on it. But they offer things like that. But they also like in last semester, Hanging actually had a festival, like a party, like the Seiko came and like Chunga.
Oh yeah. So normally, like in the spring or fall, they have the school festivals. So I think we did a video at Hanguk's Spring Festival, I believe, last year, was it? Anyway, we did. I can't recall whether it was spring or fall, but yeah. So normally the schools have a festival, and they'll invite like a bunch of different either K-pop artists or maybe like R&B or rap artists or like popular celebrities to come perform. They'll also maybe have dance competitions or singing competitions with the students. So yeah, I mean, huge acts come, like she mentioned, like Zico or Tonga or really popular people, and it's like something the artists also kind of look forward to. It's like festival season kind of. So they'll all be like, oh, we want to go to like this school or that school, or we want to go back to here or there to perform. So oh yeah, we're talking about Hanyang University for this video, but of course you can ask us about any school. And we had some questions up here. So you wrote in Korean, that's nice. And then you wrote in Spanish. I understand the question, but if you want to read the question.
Oh, I just want to read it.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily partner with other schools, but this is like separate from like your own university or your own high school or whatever. If you're in undergrad right now, then you can do the visiting program at Hanyang, which you don't have to have a partnership with Hanyang specifically. You can just come and study and apply for the program. But same thing with the language schools. You don't have to have, your school doesn't have to have any partnership with our schools in Korea. You're perfectly fine to apply and attend like that.
Because I would say, like, I'm 26. I graduated college about 4 or 5 years ago, back in the United States. And when this opportunity came, like, you're never too old, you guys, to do something. So if you want to try something, I would definitely advise you to do it. And I would not have came here if they didn't help me go through everything and give me the school and put me through and help me understand. So school doesn't really, I don't think you have to be partnered with the school.
No.
Yeah, because I didn't. I'm not a student back at home. So
yeah, I mentioned we're talking about Hanyang and specifically in Seoul. I'm sorry if you can't understand English, but our website is also completely in Spanish and Italian and English. So if you're, only catching a small percentage of what I'm saying, that's okay. And yes, we've already published the winner of the mystery box. I don't know if that story is still on our Instagram, but we've already contacted the winner. So next time we'll do more giveaways. And oops, let's see. You don't have to take a level test if you're a beginner. Like, you don't have to take the topic either. You can again start from the very beginning. And in the language school itself, you'll of course take exams for the language course, but you don't have to take any placement test if you don't want to. You can start from the very beginning. If you know some Korean, then yes, you're welcome to take the placement test, and then you can try to start at a higher level. But of course, like, you should take it honestly, and really evaluate your own level so you don't start in something too low or too high. And if for some reason you do start in a class that's too easy or too hard for you, you can talk to your teacher and they can kind of evaluate like where you should be. If you're finding, oh, this is way too difficult, or if you're bored to tears, then obviously talk to your teacher about that, because it doesn't help you if you're sitting there and you don't understand anything, or if you're sitting there bored. So, and if you can of course talk to us as well if you need help. Let's see. Yeah, so the option for university studies is the visiting program, as I've mentioned. You do have to be a full-time student already in your home country or wherever you're studying undergrad. So full-time undergraduate student, and you need to have completed at least one term in your degree program, and then you can apply to the visiting program. And our last live video last week talked more about that with the staff at Hanyang there. So you can check out that video on Facebook or YouTube for the replay. And our website also has all that information. And let's see, so more about Korea with Katie. Do you have any, besides like maybe getting familiar with Korean language, do you have any other advice for people that want to come to Korea, or just like first time big trip abroad type of thing?
Yeah, okay, don't forget, guys, the little plugs. I know that's such a random
thing. Oh yeah, outlet converters.
Outlet converters, because I did. I'm glad that a friend gifted me one, but don't forget, that's very important. Also, like the train, like learning the train. Once you learn, at first it could be a little bit. If you don't read Korean, it's gonna hit you hard, and you're gonna be like, I don't know how to get to places. So first few times I got lost, but I had somebody show me around, and then once you get it, like it's actually really easy to use the train, like really easy. Like, I mean, they're giving you directions everywhere, so that's nice. And then like setting up your cell phone, which I'm sure that you guys help with setting up cell phones as well, like your cell phone plans. And then what else? Crazy little tip here, guys. You lose your hair really fast. I know that's weird, but so if you can bring biotin or purchase it here, do it. I think, what else? I think
in general, like if there's any products that you like from home, like it's especially oddly enough, like antiperspirant or deodorant is not as common here. I don't know if Koreans just don't sweat as much, but like yeah, Katie says we don't. But
I work out with a lot of them. They don't sweat.
If you go to the say grocery store in Korea, like on top of the US, since we're both from the States, but you go down the aisle in the States and you have like 30 different brands of deodorant to buy, of all different scents and all different types, But here in Korea, maybe you'll find one, and that's it, like one for men and maybe two for women or something like that. So, and it's not going to be maybe the type you like. It may be a spray one and you like the roller one or something like that. So that's like the one product you still can't find too many of here in Korea. Maybe if you have like a favorite toothpaste, but there's a lot of different toothpaste here now in Korea, but it used to not be that way. You used to just have like the couple of Korean brands and that was it. But that's more common here. But yeah, if you have like a favorite thing from home, or maybe like a favorite candy or something you want to bring to like remind you of home, then I recommend doing that. It used to be hard to find like different type of feminine hygiene products, but that's gotten better But still, same thing with deodorant or candy or toothpaste. You know, if you have something you really like from home, then of course feel free to bring it with you.
Yeah.
Does it need to? Oh,
The style here, guys, the shopping. I would definitely do shopping here though. Like it's like I just went to Hongdae, which is like a really popular area. That's if you guys know busking.
yeah, busking. Yeah.
That's really big. I haven't seen it yet because of COVID, but there was one guy that was singing the other day. But I did like shopping there. So like there's nice things like the shirt is from Korea, not from the States. So like yeah, the fashion here is so much better. So
yeah, there's a lot of street fashion
Yeah.
and like very inexpensive shopping, like even in subway stations. There's different like stores that, you know, they'll sell tops for like 10,000 won or pants for 15,000 won or something like that. So it's really, and there's like a huge textile industry in Korea. Maybe not as much anymore, but there's like a lot of textiles that have been made and are still made in Korea. So if it's something that's local made here, then it can be very inexpensive to buy. There are a couple other questions about the application process, so I can answer those. Yeah, let's see. So, okay. So Hanyang, if you're talking about Hanyang, the school we're talking about today, that's a private university. There are, of course, both public and private universities here in Korea, and they have many run language programs, and you can see the schools we're partnered with specifically on our website. Yeah, Hanyang is known for being, having good engineering and science programs. And of course, there's other schools that are famous for other things too. One of our partner schools down the street, Hanguk, they have a very large hospital. So let's see. If you're asking about the application requirements, the minimum is that you need a high school diploma. And we know that varies depending on the country. So basically the qualification that would let you apply to a university in your home country. So that may be a high school diploma, it may be some sort of grades, like maybe for the UK, like for example, your A levels. But if you have something that's lower than that, then don't worry, just ask us. Schools can kind of evaluate what your level of education is. I know Germany has a very complex education system as well. So just let us know what you have and we can kind of figure out if you can apply or not. But I'd say the vast majority of the time you can apply as long as you finished the equivalent of like high school or that kind of level of education. Do you know about any school that has a major of design? For us, if you're an undergraduate student currently, then we can help you with Hanyang's visiting program. Besides that, we help with the Korean language programs at our partner schools. So if you're studying design and you're already a full-time student, that's great. Then you could come study at Hanyang's visiting program for a semester or two. And you can also study Korean language there as well during that visiting program time. So yeah, don't worry about that. And Hanyang has quite a number of different degree programs, so you can probably find courses that you can get credit for back at your home institution if you'd like to study.
Yeah, like one of my friends is, she's majoring in architecture, so she's actually here not for the language program. She does take some languages here, but she's mainly here on like architecture. So that's what she's focusing on. What she was telling me is really neat because it's all in Korean. And she somehow manages through it, but she enjoys it a lot. So,
yeah. So if you are a degree-seeking student now, then if you want to take like your summer vacation here and study Korean, or if you want to do the degree-seeking courses, then just let us know. We can find something for you, whether it's here in Seoul or in Busan or Daegu. And we're approaching almost an hour now, so we'll probably do a couple more questions and then wrap it up. Again, I'm Nathan. I'm the International Student Coordinator for gogohanguk. We're with our student Katie here. And if you have any other questions within the next 5-10 minutes, then please let us know. There's one question over here on YouTube. Sorry for getting to it so late. I want to join during the fall, but I'm not sure with the coronavirus going on. We'll, of course, advise you to make your plans according to your health and safety in your home country. In terms of Korea, the number of daily cases has gone down like a lot. Like yesterday, I think there were only 8 new cases, of which over half were imported. So in terms of Korea, like it's relatively safe. Of course, people still wear masks. There is still the social distancing going on. But if you like to go through the application process, then that's perfectly fine. And if you're going to start during the fall, that's still almost 6 months away. So the situation could change a lot between now and the fall. So we'd be more than happy to help you with the process.
I would say do it because I came.
Kitty says do it, so you definitely should.
Like I'm just saying, I would say do it because like I came at its height when it was in Korea. Like it was in Korea. Like I came February 29th. Like I'm from the States, so back at home, my family things were still like under control, and my family was like freaking out, like don't go, blah blah blah. Just don't go. But I was like, no, I'm going, and I'm glad that I came because I am watching everybody back in the States being quarantined while I get to actually still live life pretty normally here. I'm a morning person, so I'm up like at 6 at the gym. After the gym, I still have like hours before class. So I'll either go to a cafe or maybe if it's like a quick sightseeing, I'll do that as well. And then like some studying, and then I have class. And then after that, I just meet up with people either from the gym or people that I've just met because I'm also a very social person. So I'll just literally talk to strangers on the street, which they get a little surprised, but some are willing to still be my friends. So that's how I've managed to meet some people, and then we'll just go out to dinner. And because I love to eat, so literally work out to eat. And that was the other nice thing that like Korea, like my concern was not being able to find a lot of gyms here, but I was able
There's
to
quite
find.
A few.
Yeah, well, yeah,
In Seoul, there's a lot.
Yeah, in Seoul, there's a lot. So I joined a gym, and like they took me in right away. It was like a family. So that's where I've been able to like, we went to like the Han River, I guess, for a picnic on a national holiday here.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Wednesday, yeah. So I mean, it's really nice. So I would
on election day.
Yeah, on election day we went on a picnic because we couldn't vote. So, but I would definitely tell you like do it. I mean, it's 6 months away. Like you do not know what's going to happen in those 6 months. At least let's say things are so much better. Guess what? You're prepared. You're ready, and you're going to enjoy yourself here in the fall. So, and I can just imagine it's beautiful in the fall as well.
It's also very nice weather in the fall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Instead of cherry blossoms, you have like the leaves changing. So yeah, let's see, we have time for a couple more questions. So yeah, there are dorms on campus. So you don't have to stay in those, of course. You can pick something off campus if you want. But if you'd like to stay in the dormitory, we can, of course, help you out. Can I apply with a music tech diploma? If you can contact us directly and let us know like what type of certificate or diploma that is, then we can probably answer that more specifically. And yeah, I think even if you're maybe a more introverted or shy person, then of course you could like find some type of hobby group, like if you're into the gaming or photography or whatever it is you like to do outdoorsy stuff. If you like cooking or something, you can find some outlet to get connected within Seoul, especially, and also in like Busan or Daegu if you want to join like a club, or if you want to like, of course, find more people in like the language learning community, then there's definitely opportunities to connect with others, even if you're maybe more shy or introverted. I think there's still a lot of people that want to learn Korean that aren't like social butterflies necessarily. So yeah, I wouldn't feel deterred by that.
Yeah, one of my friends, she actually attends Seoul National, and she's also very introverted. I met her through another friend, and she's like, whenever we just want to have a calm day, we'll just get together and we'll just chill at home. And she helps me a lot with my Korean when it comes to studying, because she picks up the language really quickly. So I mean, I would say like it's very still manageable and doable. Like it really is. So there are people. I mean, we're all people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we have like 5 more minutes left before Instagram cuts us off because they cut it in an hour. So before we get to these last questions here, just one final question for you, and then we'll try to wrap up with the questions there. How has like learning Korean and coming to Korea like impacted your life? Maybe you can just pick one or two things. I know maybe it has had a large impact, or maybe not. I don't know.
No, it's not a large impact.
Like I know for a lot of students, it really opens up a lot of doors for them, or introduces them to a lot of people they wouldn't know otherwise. So can you touch on that?
Yeah, so for me, it's definitely something, like I actually want to stay here longer. I was just telling them that for me, this coming here was like a test run, if that makes any sense. And it hasn't even been 2 months. And like I'm pretty sure that I want to stay for a full year in South Korea because like, I've fallen in love with it. I've been to many different countries and, you know, I lived in the US. So for me, like South Korea, like it's a game changer. I personally love it. And it also like, it wasn't too much of a culture shock for me personally, as like it might be for other folks, but just because there's similarities within the Latin and the Asian communities. But I just liked it. Like I love it. I love how friendly it is because they really are. They are friendly, and I love the sense of community that they have. Because when COVID happened, like Korea showed the unity that all over the world needed to be showing, and this is why they're prospering. And so, being here in Korea during this time has just like really solidified for me to want to stay longer. So for me, it's life changing. Like I know for a fact that I want to stay. So now I'm trying to figure out my best route on being able to stay here. So yeah, so I would definitely advise anyone, if you have the opportunity to come, do it. Like that's just my opinion.
Right. I also agree. Like you only live once, so
Yeah.
take advantage of the opportunity if you have the time and the resources to do so.
And
yeah,
you're here.
yes, I lived here. I resigned from my job when I came here and just went straight to language school. So yeah, if you have the time and the resources, then definitely do it. There's a lot of questions. We're gonna wrap up in just a couple minutes here, but I'll just pick and choose a couple. Cost of living. We made a lot of videos about that, but maybe Katie can share like what she thinks about the cost of living. That's an important one.
It depends on where you're living. I'm living right across, and because I came through an Airbnb, it's a little pricey. Like it's like 700 something, which is a lot. From when I compare to my friends and where they're living, it's a lot of money.
This is for monthly rent.
Yeah, this is for monthly, and like ballpark of between 700 to 800. So it's quite expensive. I will not say, like I won't lie, but I think it's also because of the way I picked out my layout. Like my space is actually pretty spacious. Like I have a pretty big bed. I have a 2-level, it's like a loft. Like my own personal bathroom.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I personally, because my mindset was like, I'm gonna have guests coming over. Like my family, a lot of people were supposed to come over, so I needed to have space for them to stay. You know, so they wouldn't pay for hotels. Now with like, if
you have a different budget for accommodation, then just like let us know.
Mm-hmm.
What about like cost of like a meal or something? Do you believe that's like more or less expensive than?
No, like cheap here. Like literally, my favorite spot is like bulgogi, and it's like $4, like for American dollars, which is like
5,000 or 6,000 won,
which is, it's not expensive, and I mean you get full. Like, and the food here is healthy. The food here is like really healthy. Like my entire body has been like adjusting to it well. And then yeah, food is cheap. Food is cheap, honestly. It is. Like I don't regret it. Like I'm consistently eating every day. Like before coming here, I went and had like some breakfast, and I'm gonna go eat afterwards again. But,
Another question we get a lot is, do you need to know English? No, you don't need to know English necessarily. While there are like signs that are maybe in Korean and English, but in terms of class, you don't need to know English. Like they only teach you in Korean anyway, so that kind of levels the playing field for everybody, even if you're, you may not share a native language with any of your classmates. With me, I had a couple English speakers here and there with my classes, but a lot of times, like, no one spoke English as their native language except maybe me and one other person or something. So, tattoo question. Yeah, there's like a lot of more people with tattoos in Korea now. I think it's much more accepted than it was. Like I've seen people with full sleeves, like walking around, no big deal. People with like neck tattoos as well. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of people with tattoos or not.
I see it all the time. Honestly, one of the cooks where I was eating yesterday, full sleeves.
Yeah.
It's really common here now, like, and especially with the youth, like they it's like a style, like a statement, like fashion statement for them. So yeah.
Instagram's shutting off in 5 seconds, so buy Instagram. So we'll finish up on YouTube and Facebook. Yes. Join us there. Okay, you can just All right. So we'll just wrap up here with like one last question, and then we'll say goodbye. Yeah. So TV asked on Facebook, do you have night classes? If you decide to come study in Korea, then there's a bunch of different options for you. Like for instance, at Hanyang, they have afternoon and morning classes, but new students take afternoon. Yeah. And then if you continue to study, you can do morning. It's first come, first serve for that. And then if you want to, it can depend on the school and the term. So like maybe the number of students or whatever. And then like if you wanted to study at say Lexus Korea, they have a couple different options for class. So and we also have the online classes that Lexus Korea is offering too now. So there's pretty much an option for everybody. And just let us know the time you're thinking about. And for those that are still here, oh, yeah, Instagram Live ended. Yes, it did. Sorry, they only limited to 1 hour on Instagram Live. Hello, Rob, and hello, welcome back, Zoe. But I guess we'll wrap it up now since it's been an hour. So thanks again for joining us, Katie. Again, she's studying at Hanyang for the Korean language program. And yeah, it's been good to hear about your experience and
I don't regret it, guys.
Yeah, sharing with everyone on the internet here. And I'm Nathan, the International Student Coordinator for gogohanguk. And you can, of course, contact us anytime with any questions about living and studying in Korea. We know it's kind of a challenging period for pretty much everybody right now. But don't worry, we can still answer your questions and schools are still accepting applications. So if it's safe for you to travel, then please make the plans and we can help you find accommodation, find the language school for you. And other than that, I think that's it. Yeah. So yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week for our live video. And then we'll also be joining us, and then another student should be joining us during May, so catch us for that as well. Yes, please email us or use our contact form. I'll just post it here on YouTube for you. The contact form is the best way to get in contact with us. Please, yeah, email us anytime. So we'll say bye.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.